Do you blame us for your being stranded here?
The way I see it wasn't elves that chased me from my homeland.
Someone dug this passage.
Something.
Have you considered seeking partners outside the confines of our own race?
How far outside?
So you find Galadriel in the middle of the sea, adrift, trying to go back to Middle-earth. In that adventure, she will find characters. And one of the most interesting characters is Halbrand.
The shadow comes out of the mist, and Halbrand comes and picks her up. She's saved, which I don't think she enjoys.
He's skeptical of her, he's wary of her, he doesn't trust her, and he's keeping his distance at this point. From the moment that he meets her, an undeniable sort of spark. And then they're hit by a massive tempest, which was amazing to film.
Prepare yourself.
3, 2, 1, go!
It's coming apart!
The storm was one of the moments where I really got to see, like, all the gears working around me, which was terrifying and amazing.
Obviously, the scale of the water is very difficult to emulate that. We've got a very large tank, and we had some really big waves created. We had wind, and we had lightning flashing around.
So they go through this storm, and then the raft gets struck by lightning. The mast severs and drags her to the bottom.
So much of it was just about being, like, comfortable with the water. That moment where you don't feel like your hand's just going through the water, you feel like you're manipulating the water and you're in control of it. That was really amazing, and also really great in terms of, like, having a tiny inkling of what it would feel like to be an elf, because that's what they're like with kind of everything.
Suddenly, you get into a universe where different races are relating to each other in a very ordinary way.
He's not greeted in Khazad-dûm very well. He's certainly not greeted in Khazad-dûm the way he thinks he's going to be greeted in Khazad-dûm, you know?
Elrond and Durin have been pals for a very long time, which is unusual for dwarves and elves. But our friendship has become a brotherhood. And I feel that it's been betrayed by him. He's not come to see me in 20 years.
You missed my wedding! The birth of my children, 2 of them! 20 years may be the blink of an eye to an elf. But I've lived an entire life in that time.
One of the main themes in the Tolkien universe, friendship between different races. And when you talk about friendship in between different races, you talk about empathy. In that sense, it's very related to fairy tales. You know, this kind of storytelling that tells you what is the right thing to do, what is the wrong thing to do.
I've been thrilled to work with J.A. Bayona again, who I absolutely adore. His episode had, you know, a really cross-section of stuff. We had a great storm sequence. The Digger Orc sequence was fun.
With the help of some movie magic, I'm going to slay an orc.
It's great to have Pete around. He's the best collaborator. I designed a whole storyboard for that scene, and I sent the storyboard to Vic, and he understood absolutely every frame.
We'd have really deep conversations about it. I'd get into the storyboarding of it with him. Then my job is to how we do this practically.
That was really, really fun, and it's a lot harder than it looks. Everything has to be so technical. You know, you put your arm up at the exact moment, and as it hits here, then you've got to go down.
Bronwyn spoke to me because her journey is really finding herself, her inner strength. She has a son that she feels very compelled to protect.
I think that the whole first and second episode are like the planting of a world that you can notice that something's cooking in the shadows. And those shadows I represent in Bronwyn's story those things moving underground.
This character is underground a lot, so he's not breathing in and out through his mouth. It's very short and sharp because he doesn't want to get a lot of dust and dirt in his nose.
He's a ballet dancer by profession, and what he's done in this role is so inspiring. He contorts his body, he uses his voice.
They've got this feeling like a coiled spring, so they can have full extension. So when there's slashing or fighting, the feeling of unpredictability is important to them.
The orc appears and battle ensues. She drops the head of the orc in front of everyone for people to see, right over there. And I think that's when people start to take her seriously.